Hey everybody, today we're going to be going into a basic weapon defense class. This is going to be focusing on 3 different weapons that we're going to be talking about today. Number 1 will be a firearm, a handgun. Number 2 will be a bladed object, whether that's a knife, screwdriver, razor blade. And number 3 is going to be a blunt object, which could be from a baseball bat to a golf club, all right, so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. You know, as a beginner, we're so eager to learn all of these defenses and so much and just ready to go. But, you know, as you go through the levels, you're going to learn in detail all of the different weapons. So like once you get to orange belt, you're going to be focusing on blunt objects. Once you get to blue belt, you're going to be focusing a lot on knife. Then higher up, the handguns, and you're going to be learning long guns and so on and so forth. There's grenades and rope attacks. So there's so much that's into it, but we're going to be giving you guys something that we feel is the safest thing when it comes to these weapons, the safest thing for you to do, and the basic principles behind it. So we hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to get started with gun first. All right, so anytime a handgun is presented, this could be a revolver or a normal handgun. Okay, we're just going to be talking about gun to the front today. Common attack. Now, if we think about somebody who's attacking us, this is a threat. This isn't somebody who's actively shooting at us. This is someone who's trying to take us, move us. So when the gun is presented on me, we're going to follow the principles of what we call RCAT. Redirect, control, attack, takeaway. Now, the A and T, the attack and the takeaway, can be flip-flop sometimes and different angles and whatnot. So you're going to kind of see that today too. So when the gun is presented on me, first thing that I always want to do is look at the level of the gun. I want to see, or I'm going to look at the gun. I want to see, okay, what hand is this? Where is this? What hand is he holding? Where is this pointed at me? And I want to start thinking about other things that are going on too. You know, who's next to me? Where's my family at? Where are my children? So a lot of factors can go into that. All right. So the next step, after I make that decision, let's pretend for today that I'm all by myself. I'm going to use my dominant hand redirecting the gun because that's the R. So the redirection is here. I'm redirecting at an angle and I want to get offline as fast as I can. So I'm slightly moving my body, and once I'm out of the line of fire, I'm out of the line of fire. I'm never going to get back in front of the gun because that's the most dangerous part, the end of the barrel here. The next step is I want to control. So yes, I have control of the gun, but I want to control him too. So I'm going to control his wrist. So these motions are actually almost simultaneously. So my first hand will redirect, my second hand is going to the wrist. The next part, let's imagine fingering the trigger for a second. For safety and training, when you guys do this with your partner, never have your finger in the trigger, never even put your finger along here. If you guys go to the shooting range, it's a very basic rule, but always just grab the handle. So redirecting control. But if the finger was in there, what's happening now is I'm going to take this hand that's on the barrel and punch it towards his stomach as hard as I possibly can, breaking over the thumb. And imagine that finger in there again. What's happening with that trigger guard? Well, that's going to snap his finger. So even though I'm doing a takeaway, the attack is sometimes there too. So a little bit faster, that's the motion that I want. So I'm coming, redirecting. I'm moving this out of the way. I'm driving forward. Striking, always want to hit with the end of the barrel. Okay, never come here and pistol whip motion, then I'm back in the line of fire. I don't even necessarily want to punch with it either, just because a habit when we punch is we always bring our hands up. Great habit, but not when I have a weapon in my hand. So hitting with the end of the barrel, all right, then I'm going to transition my hand. We're going to tap and rack. The purpose of that tap and rack, okay, maybe you hit that magazine release in the midst of this, or maybe he hit it. I just want to make sure that it's secure. Then let's say that gun did go off. Well, you can YouTube this and you can see plenty of videos where people are holding the end of the barrel. When the gun goes off, all right, the bullet that's in there will be able to go. As the slide is going back, if I'm controlling it tight enough, well, the next round's not going to be able to be injected correctly, so it's going to jam up. If we are thinking about our redirection, so once I make that redirection, I'm controlling the wrist. You can YouTube plenty of videos to where someone's holding it, the gun goes off, the next round's not going to load properly because it didn't eject correctly because I'm holding the slide so it doesn't reload. So as I'm here and I break, I attack, That tap, once again, making sure that the magazine didn't go anywhere. I'm clearing the round just in case it did get jammed on the side. All right, and then the gun's on him. I'm checking my angles and I'm getting towards an exit. So last time, hands are always going to be level as a gun. I don't want to go too far out because this is too big of a motion. So in the meantime, you know, when we talk about, all right, who's around me, what's going on, where's my family, I'm going to be talking to him, playing the role, because let's say he's asking for my wallet. All right, so if he's saying, give me my wallet, okay, hey, I'll get my wallet. This is where I'm processing, I'm thinking. Okay, yeah, it's right here. That's where I'm at. Okay, gun's on him. So, process in the beginning, hands are close to the gun, play the role, act like you're scared. All right, if I need to, I can put my hand here, but then it's gonna come straight up. So it's going along my body. All right, if I go above the gun, well, this is too difficult for me now to redirect. So my hands will always be lower than the gun. So even if he does put it lower than me, I'm gonna be right here. Whoa, what's going on? I can still do the same exact technique. He puts it at my head. Whoa, hey. Same exact technique. So everything's the same. So from this angle, last time, all we're doing is redirecting. Now what if I do have somebody on this side? Well, I can redirect this way. I can control. I still break over. I still attack. So the beauty of this technique is I can either redirect to my left or I redirect to my right. Now what if we have two people? Well, sometimes I may need to go not necessarily straight up because I don't want to be putting myself and my face in the line of fire. I'll still move my head a little bit, but I will go up as I slip to either side and then drive forward. So all of those work, but now of course I don't always want to do that one, but what if we have people that are next to us, and that may be the course that we have to take. So from here, 1, 2 on the wrist, driving in, striking, okay, and then we're there. Like we said, there's a lot of different attacks and angles and stuff. We can start talking about, you know, if they're holding us, well, it's all very similar. What if it's on the side of us, behind us, the back, hostage, okay, or here. It could be mount. So as you guys continue, you're gonna learn so much more, and you're gonna see where all of these principles and all these techniques really tie together. All right, so we're gonna let him work a couple times. Ready, and go. All right, tap rack, disengage. Good. All right, change angles. Again. All right, last one. All right, now this time I want you to make it one solid motion. All right, nice and fast. So if you notice, he was breaking it down, making sure that he got all the steps, but it's just gonna be really fluid. Ready, and go. There we go, and time. All right, so just a couple final thoughts, guys, on dealing with the handgun. If we have the situation to avoid it, quick story, I was playing basketball out in California, and somebody was getting into a fight, and it got too carried away. One of the guys went to his trunk, pulled out a gun. I knew what he was going to get. The two guys that they were fighting took off running. I immediately went to go get the best cover that I possibly could, which was a bunch of thick trees, and was watching him go look for those guys. But in a situation like that, where you know someone's going to get a firearm, or maybe they have a firearm and you know they do, and you see them going to get it out of the car, get out of there. Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. Avoiding a situation completely is the best thing that you can do, not trying to put yourself in harm's way. Now there are certain circumstances like an active shooter situations where maybe you're trying to be a hero, but you know, you'll see later on how to handle that situation to where you need to go hand to hand to save as many lives as you can, or a home invasion situation. Yes, there are certain circumstances to where you do need to engage, but in the majority of the time, if somebody's going to get a gun or they're looking for trouble, avoid it. It's the best possible thing that you can do. Number 2 is if we are being threatened with the gun. He hasn't shot me yet. Maybe he just wants my wallet. Maybe he just wants my money. Maybe he just wants my keys. Now that is something that you guys need to think about. When is your now? Meaning, all right, so let's say he's just asking for money. Okay, I'll get the cash. All right, here you go. There you go. There's the cash. We good? And maybe he takes off and I avoided a situation completely. But sometimes that, even though, if I do give them my cash, that may not be all that they want. Maybe now they're trying to hurt my wife or hurt my son or husband or whatever. Not my husband, but you know what I'm saying. You just got to understand that we have to sometimes engage in a situation like that. Now, let's imagine that they're trying to take your keys. My personal opinion on keys is I'm never going to give my keys up. The reason for that is if you think about what's in your glove box, well, they can easily go in there, look at where I live now. A lot of times you guys have a garage door opener on your car, the house keys on your key ring. So if somebody gets your keys, they could easily, this was a popular thing for a while. They're just going to drive to your house as well because I'm dealing with the police where I was at. All right, so that's something to think about too. That's my personal thing, is I'm not going to let somebody take my keys. I'm not going to let somebody take my wallet either, just because now they know where I live, they have my information. That's just me. That is something you guys need to think about. When is your now? Because I can't tell you when to defend if you are presented with a firearm. So, and regardless if it's a knife or a blunt object, whatever they're trying to rob you with, that is something you have to think about and be prepared for. When is your now? So moving on to our next weapon is going to be a bladed object. Once again, this could be a knife, which is a lot of times the most popular one. This could be a screwdriver, razor blade, broken bottle. So anything that is bladed. So when it comes to a knife, in my opinion, this is the hardest weapon to deal with. This is the scariest thing to deal with. And the reason for that is this is never going to run out of ammo. This can do so much damage. If you look at active shooters or shooting situations versus active stabbing situations, the numbers are just completely opposite of each other. All right, so you'll see active stabbing situations where they're in the hundreds, just because they can move around so fast and you don't know where it's coming from, and they're just stabbing left and right and just going crazy in subways or public areas. So it's a very, very scary situation. This happens very fast. It's very hard to see. I mean, I could simply be holding here and you don't even know I have it, versus a handgun or a long gun. I mean, it's kind of hard to hide that sometimes, but knives you can just hide really easy, and from here you're striking. So, sorry, good job moving. But it's something that happens very fast. Now the other thing, somebody who's actively stabbing you, or trying to stab you per se, they're in a sick, twisted place, because someone that's not afraid to feel flesh and skin rip. They're not afraid to get bloody. They're not afraid to feel this grinding against your bone and muscle tearing. So they're a very scary person in that situation if they're ready to just stab you. Now, there are things that we can do. All right, you're actually going to see, as you guys continue along the levels, a lot of knife threats, because we want to teach you not to go hand to hand with the knife. That's like the very last resort thing that you ever want to do, is go hand to hand. So number one thing, run away. All right. Now, unless they're professional knife throwers, if they're at a distance, you have a great chance of survival by running away. Because like a gun, well, the bullet's going to travel. A knife, they have to be up close and personal to do damage. So running away. So a drill, we're just going to do this really quick, is play knife tag. Now, yes, you want to completely run out of the room and just keep going and keep going, but something to practice is just knife tag, avoiding it, kind of like tag when you were a kid. Well, moving, getting out of the way. So it'll look like this. So if I'm here, my job is I'm just coming here, I'm just trying to slash at him. He's always on the move, trying not to corner himself. Okay, he's using his hands, redirecting. All right, and time. So that's just a very simple, fun drill to do, is just knife tag. So even if you are stabbing, which if you're using a metal knife like we are, I don't recommend stabbing. Always use a training knife. Don't get a real knife and play the game like that. But when you are doing that, okay, do more slashing motions just for safety and training. But if you notice, he's always moving, his hands are up, he's blocking. So if you don't have anywhere to go, still, you want to move. You have a much better chance of survival to easily come here. Maybe I do slash and he redirects me. Okay, he's able to get towards that exit and create even more space, more distance now. And distance in a knife situation is your best friend. So always remember that. So that's step number one, is avoid it. Run away, get out of there, Nike defense. Can't express that enough. Number two is improvised weapon. The downfall of a bladed object, unless like it's a katana or an axe, something like that, but typically small little knife like this is, well, it's small. Now if we can find something, for example, a collie stick. Now you can use your imagination right now. This could be so many different things, whether it's a big wrench, a hammer, a baseball bat, golf club, a branch, a gym bag. I mean, something this size can help you out so much. So first thing that we're gonna do is talking about how to use this. We're just gonna talk about a couple angles before you even attack me. But just our basic 4 count, kind of just making an X here. So striking horizontally, going up and down. You can even go side to side. We're just using angles. I'm not trying to do a stab or come straight down. So just your basic angles, and you can practice this motion, and you'll see later on where we get a lot more into detail about striking with these. But if he does have the knife, I'm not trying to hit him right now. Sure, a blunt object to the side of the head could be great, but let's say he ducks under that while he's stabbing, okay, or slashing. Well, I just now got cut. So if we do have an object like this, the main thing that I want to do is attack his hand. I want to hit his hand and do as much damage to his hand, his knuckles, his fingers, his wrist, anything, because, well, that's what he's holding it with. If you guys ever been hitting the knuckles or fingers, it doesn't feel good. Now, if I have a blunt object and I'm going hard at him and I'm striking, it's not going to feel too good. A great way to train with this for safety and training is a pool noodle, and have your partner wear a boxing glove and just kind of stick the knife in there. Now, if you don't have the luxury of a pool noodle, well, at least put the boxing glove on, you can get something a little bit harder. Now understand, don't swing at 100 miles an hour. So it'll look like this. So we'll have them put the boxing glove on. We'll just put the hand right through. Yeah, like that. So what's going to happen in this situation is he'll be the attacker. My job is I'm just focusing on hitting that hand. Ready? Go. And time. Now, if you noticed, when I was doing that, I was actively swinging. What happened when you saw that? You don't want to come in. It's scary, especially when you have this. Now, watch this time what happens if I'm more on the scared side, if you will. I'm not the attacker, I'm the defender. Go. He's able to close the gap really quick. If he's able to close the gap while I have something that's longer, well, now I'm losing that fight. When you have a longer weapon, use your reach. So I'm actively swinging and hitting over and over and over again and being aggressive, well, because majority of the time, they're gonna cower down, they're gonna be intimidated. That's what we want. So remember that. If you have this blunt object and you're drilling this, be active, strike fast, hit. And at the same time, we always wanna go back to step one. Look for that exit. All right, so now that we've discussed kind of what to do in those situations, so number one is avoid it completely, dealing with that bladed object. Number two is an improvised weapon. Now that was improvised weapon in attacking, becoming the aggressor, hitting, always aiming for the hand. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe I grab a chair. Yes, I could still try to hit with the chair. It's just gonna be a lot slower. So something that we can do is using that blunt object or solid object to block and create the space and get out of there. So this is what it'll look like now. He's gonna use a tombstone, or yeah, that's fine. So going back to what we did with redirecting and creating the space, a drill that you guys can do now is, depending on how they're holding the knife, whether it's negative grip, positive, slashing, and there's different terminologies, people will use different things for it. But depending on how they're attacking you, well, it's just like a 360 block. But we're gonna use this improvised weapon to block. So we're gonna use that straight on force, going into the attack here. But at the same time, he's gonna wanna push so he gets to the dead side of me and is able to create the space and get out of there. So that comes here, okay. All right, make sure we get to the dead side, so do it again. So we're going to the dead side, here. Now even if I was to come up, he's gonna block, redirect, and move. We move because he can create so much more space Maybe there's a better weapon. Who knows what his goal is. All right, so now if I'm slashing, if I'm coming in slashing here, he's blocking. Now his body is over here. So on slashes, sometimes it is okay to move to my live side, but you're quickly getting away. All right, because it wouldn't make any sense when I'm coming here to block. I'm gonna recoil anyways, if he's coming this direction. So sometimes, yes, you can go to the live side. So if I'm here though, coming back in, just getting out of there as fast as we can. All right, and time. Now, hand to hand is the last thing that we want to do. The reason for it is because you'll find when you're doing these drills that you'll still get cut, you'll still get stabbed. So when you go hand to hand, which you guys will see later on, but understand that that is something where you got to expect that you're going to get cut, you're going to get stabbed. That is going to be a fight for your life. And that's why we want you to do these other steps before you go hand to hand dealing with a bladed object. So last weapon that we're going to talk about during this class is a blunt object. A blunt object, once again, is something that is solid, fairly long, and that they can hit you with. Not necessarily a bladed weapon, even though some bladed weapons can be long, but there's a difference between the two of how we approach them and how we deal with them. But a blunt object being swung at us is a scary thing. So here's the main thing that we need to understand with a blunt object. You're either all the way in, meaning if he has this object and he's threatening me, and I'm in kind of the middle right now, I'm either all the way in, meaning I'm here coming in to close the distance, or I'm all the way out. Because once again, just like the knife, I have to be at the end of this weapon for it to hurt me. The second I move out of the way, well, he's missing. The moment I start to create even more distance, I'm getting safer and safer and safer. But if for whatever reason I stay here and I'm hesitant about it, and maybe he's just threatening me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not making myself in a better position. So you're either all the way in or you're all the way out. Now, regardless of how he's swinging it at me, yes, in Krav, there were different techniques for each thing. What we've done is we've chose what is the safest one to do, evolved it, and made it one, because I don't have time to think in this situation. So if he was swinging this downwards, meaning he's coming straight here at my head, traditionally what we would do is we would dive in and strike, control, attack, start to take this away. Now, what we've done is we made this just a little bit safer, because what if I miss with that one hand and I'm on the outside of it while I'm trying to hit and I'm getting hit here now in the head? I don't want that. So we're going to put our fingertips together. The margin of error is where my fingertips are. So yes, is there still a possibility of getting hit? Absolutely. There always is going to be. But when my fingertips are together and I'm diving in, even if I do it up on the outside of his arm, I'm a lot safer than being here with one arm hitting at the same time. So fingers together, diving in. I always like to tell people, aim for that ear. So we're going to come to this angle so you guys can see. So I'm here, aiming for the ear. It's like I'm diving in a pool. Then I'm going to control the back of his elbow. Elbows down, just in our side clinch position. I'm going to strike and strike over and over again until one of two things happens. Either he starts to fold over or this drops. And the whole time I'm doing that, I can easily say, drop the weapon, drop the weapon, drop the weapon. So I'm here, drop the weapon, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. And if I feel that it dropped, or I hear it drop, pushing, creating space, getting this. So maybe for whatever reason I need to take it away. We're diving in, controlling, because even if this does go all the way down, I can still control. I can still find this. Glue it to the side of my body. Elbows always down in our side clinch, never up, because he could easily wrap me up now and I'm in like a bear hug situation. Striking over and over again. If I do decide to take it, I'm going to come here, have my hand slide down, and grabbing the stick. I'm going to pop either his head, his shoulder, as I turn and break that grip. Or I can put my foot on his hip, maybe if you're a little bit shorter, create more distance. Now what if he were to have two hands on this swinging down? Well, if he has two hands, I can still dive in for that ear control. Now we have both hands trapped. Nothing changes. Striking, striking, striking. He just can't defend with anything now. Coming, popping that out, taking it away. So if there was baseball bat swing, same thing, I'm diving in. Before, we would build a wall, which is great and can still work, but I can't tell in the heat of the moment. He could have it right here, it looks like it's gonna be a downward swing, but then all of a sudden it changes, or it could be from this angle and then he comes over the top and hits. I don't know where it's at. So what we've done is we've eliminated all that and just made it the safest possible thing, which is diving in. So with the blunt object, just remember, you're either all the way in or you're all the way out. Control, keep hitting over and over and over again. And then if you need to take it away, nice and tight, creating that space, popping it, getting control below their hand. All right, so in this final drill, what we're gonna do is gun threat to the front, downward swing with the blunt object, or just kind of slashing and seeing what your partner does. Now, one thing that I need you to understand is when you're attacking, don't come up and just put the gun here and hold it on your partner. That's the worst thing that you can do, because realistically, if somebody's robbing you or mugging you, they're gonna be somewhat vocal. They're gonna say something. Now, they may not be screaming at the top of their lungs, "Give me all your money!" No, because they don't wanna attract attention, but they're still gonna be saying stuff. They may be cussing at you, and you guys can train that way too, because when you start to hear cuss words and the gun's in your face and they're threatening you, your stress level is gonna go way up. Now, if we have a stick, same thing. I can use this to kind of threaten him. I can push him with it. I can act like I'm intimidating him. Or even if we have the knife, I could be screaming and cussing and yelling because I'm already trying to kill him, so I'm just in that whole different mindset. So make it real. Don't just come up and attack nonchalantly. I want you guys actively swinging at him, actively yelling at him, so that way we just bring this drill to a whole nother level. All right, so it's gonna look like this. We're gonna go for 1 minute and begin. Hey, what's up, man? Where's my money at? Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? What's up, man? What's up, huh? Huh? We talking to my girl? What's up, man? What's up, huh? That was my stick! That was my stick! What's up, man? What's up, huh? You got trouble? You got trouble? Looking for trouble? And time. All right, so with that drill, we're just doing the basics. You're moving, you're trying to avoid the situation as much as possible. Understand, react, okay? So recap on everything. Dealing with gun, RCAT, redirect, control, attack, takeaway. Dealing with the knife, basic principles, run, get out of there. Number 2, improvised weapon. Last thing, hand-to-hand combat. Number 3 weapon that we were dealing with blunt object, you're either all the way in or you're all the way out. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Other than that, take care.